So I'm going to talk about how to implement paid advertising. Then we'll just do a little wrap up after, and you'll be free to head out for the day. But this is really a good one to start with. Is you hear a lot about like how to market online, but a lot of people don't know where to start. So I'm going to give you, this is only one of the ways, like there's so many different ways you can go online. So I'm going to show you a relatively speaking, an easy way to start, just to basically start getting your feet wet, start getting some leads in. There you go. So the first thing though, just start small. Don't worry about, like you hear Facebook, Google, Pinterest, like all these different things. Pick one for now. Pick one, and then even on Facebook, I can give you 10 different strategies that you can try on Facebook. Pick one, and you can work that one. Once you start getting that work, you can add a little bit more to it. So you don't have to do everything at once. So this is kind of like a very basic kind of lead software. What you'd have is, you have your Facebook ad with your lead magnet. They send them to a landing page. You pick up the phone and call them. Hopefully you get a deal, then you get paid. Very basic. That's what you see at the most basic level. The problem is, how many people here have heard of the cargo cults? Anyone got a few, any history buffs? No? I'm the only nerd here? All right. So cargo cult basically was, so in World War II when they were fighting the Japanese, what they had to do is on the way, set up basically supply posts on the islands because they needed to have their supplies nearby. But what was going on was there's a lot of indigenous tribes that had never seen 20th century technology. So for them, it was still very much like spears and bow and arrows, things like that, that type of level. And so what they would do is like they'd set up a runway, and then they'd see like a guy in his uniform pick up a radio call, and then like a couple hours later a plane would come and drop off everything these people needed to live. Like to them it was like this crazy thing. They didn't understand how that all worked. So they're like, well, we want that. That's amazing. Like it's way better than our bow and arrow. So they would build a runway on the ground like out of dirt and bamboo, and they'd pick up a rock and call into it like I need this, and they'd dress up like a general. They'd call in and then they'd wait for that plane. What they didn't understand was everything else that went into it. And that, in real estate, actually happens a lot. And I see this all the time. I know you guys opt into other agents' online ads because I see the names coming through, and I recognize a lot of your names when you opt into your competitors' ads that I'm running. So I know you guys are doing it, but the problem when you do that is you don't understand all the pieces. Like, you see this as like, okay, so what you see, you see they opt in, they go to a landing page, and then you get the lead. You're missing little things like the thank you page. And then when you really start getting into it, you miss everything else that goes into an online campaign. So you might only notice this part. You're not seeing all those other pieces that take a campaign from being okay to being something like this. Like, for one client, we got down to $3 seller leads online. So every $3 in ad spend, we were getting another seller lead that was giving correct information. I mean, that took a long time to get to something like that, so you want to start small. But even if you're just starting with something like this, if you understand the pieces, you can be a lot more successful than if you just try to copy something you saw online without understanding every piece that they're actually doing. So how do you get started? First thing is pick your audience. So if you're going to start with one campaign, am I going to target people that already know me? People maybe somewhat aware, people have no idea who I am? Am I going to target millennials, seniors? Pick your audience first, because that's how you decide every step after that. But first thing you have to do is decide, who am I going to target with this campaign? And then do a little bit of research. So one thing that I did when I was running ads is I had a client, I came up to them like, okay, we got to figure out what's most important to them. What is the single most important thing to someone who wants to sell their home? Because that's what we have to give them. And I asked client after client, and now he's like, okay, when you talk to sellers, what's most important to them? Now we say, they just want to get the most money for their home. Every agent, that's kind of the answer, is they just want to get the most money for their home. Ask the sellers themselves and skip the agent, and they say how to prepare their home for sale. They're stressed out about how they prepare their home for sale. That's what's most important to them. So that leads to getting more money for their home, but for them it's that prep work before. So instead of offering like a home value, you can pivot and offer how to prepare your home for sale. So here's an example of one I did for a client the first time we tried it. The ultimate guide to preparing your home for sale. And it was just a guide that we kind of crowdsourced a bunch of information. And if you open the guide up, it basically walked through step by step, like all the paperwork you need to get together, basically everything you need, like room by room what you'd have to do. And it's just a ton of information for them that's incredibly valuable. And to get that, you have to leave your name, email, and phone number. People do because it's incredibly valuable for them as opposed to just click here, find out what my home is worth, which I also run those campaigns too because they can work. But depending on the strategy you want to take, this is a really good one to kind of launch. And then you have to build a landing page. So before I look at the ads, I want to build a landing page. So this is an example of a landing page we're running in Ottawa right now. It's very simple. What you'll notice though, so like if you have your website, you'll have like home, about, contact, all that stuff up top. There's none of that here. Because when they go to that landing page, I don't want them doing anything else but getting that guide. If they're not going to get that guide, they can leave. I want their name, email, and phone number for the guide, and that's it. They're not going to get distracted. They just see that. So then they opt in. And an important thing to remember about landing pages, how do you think most people see this? On their phone. So if I was to move that to a mobile view, how do you think people are going to look at it? Like, is the guide going to be at the top, and that's going to be all they see on their screen? What you want is the button to be in this bottom section right here. So when they look at the screen, this section right here is where the button is, so that their thumb's there and they can just hit it. If they have to like reach out, like I have a bigger hand so it works, or if you have like a 6+, you're never going to get there, but if they have to reach all the way up here, that little bit of extra strain might stop them from opting in. So like you want that little button right at the bottom. And just think, like, every time you design your campaigns, think if someone's on their phone, will this work for them? Think about someone on their phone before you think about someone on their desktop. And then never neglect the thank you page. This is a huge one. So as an example, if I'm running a buyer campaign, how many buyers are also sellers? So when they land on my thank you page, and it was a buyer campaign, I'm going to offer them either my guide to prepare their home for sale, or I'm going to offer them a free home evaluation, because now what they're doing, they're self-identifying as a seller too. So now they've come in as a buyer, I also now know that they have their home for sale. And if they've opted into both, I also know that's a really hot lead. Or if I'm offering so this is an example of a home guide that I did in Kelowna, and on the thank you page we offered a free home evaluation. So now you downloaded that how to prepare your home for sale guide, and then on the next one, we're offering them a free home evaluation. So that works really well because people opt in at both sides. And people opting in on both, there's a much warmer lead than anyone else. And you always want to make sure your Facebook, like how many people know or have heard of a Facebook pixel? A couple? How many have ever done anything with one? Okay, how many people shop on Amazon? How many of you have gone to Facebook after and seen an ad for that product? That's what the Facebook pixel does. You can do that too. If you place that on your website, you can, even by the individual pages someone was on, target them with an ad. So if someone is on a listing of mine that's 500,000 and I get a new listing for 500,000, I can target that ad to anyone else who's looked at a property for 500,000 on my website. Because I already know. Or if I'm running a blog post that's like, you know, top 10 things you need to know if you're going to buy a home with a pool. They read that, anyone who reads that article, I'm going to target them with ads for homes with pools. So I know what they're doing, and this allows me to track everything. Or when I'm talking about the landing page and the thank you page, I'm going to have a pixel on both, and then I'm going to tell Facebook, anyone who lands on that thank you page is a lead. So now Facebook knows anyone who's on that page is a lead for his business. Now, after you get about 40 to 50 leads, Facebook now knows who's your most likely lead. And now they're going to analyze everyone that they're going to send your ad to who's most likely to opt in. So if you're starting with cost per click, once you get about 40, 50 leads, like as an example, I had a client in Burlington, and we were getting seller leads at the beginning for about $9 to $12 a lead. Then we switched, after we got 50 leads, to cost per conversion, where we did it with the pixel, and we got down to $3 a lead. Like once Facebook understands who's going to be a lead, they're going to help you succeed even more. And that's why the pixel is important to get on your site. Even if you're not using it yet, just get it on your site so Facebook can start learning about your audience. And then when you're running the ad, you want to think about, again, who's your audience. Because you can run a Facebook ad to cold audiences. Oh, question? Yeah, just where do you put that pixel? Between the header tags on your site. When you go to like get it out of the ad account, it'll just show you, like send you instructions to your web guy.
So the pixel itself, you get it from your Facebook page?
So in your ads manager. So you just go, yeah, when you go to create an ad, at the top it'll say ads manager. There's a little hamburger to the left, the 3 lines. Click on that. It says pixels. And I'll send you something after, and I'll show you how to do it. So when you're running the ad, so there's Facebook, you have a lot of different audiences you can target. Cold audience is people who don't know who you are. That's the most basic when you start. You can upload your entire email list to Facebook, and any of them who are on Facebook with that email address, you can run an ad to them now. Retargeting list, anyone who's been on your website, you can now run an ad to them. On top of that, anyone who's engaged with one of your Facebook posts, you can run an ad to them too. If you've put a video up, anyone who's watched one of your videos, you could run an ad to them. And then there's what I really like on Facebook, are lookalike audiences. So say in the past year I worked with 100 people, and 80 of them I really liked. I'm going to upload those 80 people's email address to Facebook and then tell them, now go find me more people like them. So Facebook will analyze those 80 people and say, okay, here's the kind of generic things about them that's all similar across all 80. Now we're going to find 100,000 people like them in Canada. And then you just then take that 100,000 and, okay, how many of them are in Collingwood? And now you're running an ad to people like your past clients. So you're kind of already taking a cold audience and at least making it more likely for them to be able to opt in. So again, this can take time, but you can do that based on anything. Like, find me people like the people who have come to my website. Find me people like basically any one of the other types of audiences you can build. And then when you're running these ads, you want to think about who else is targeting them. So targeting on Facebook is incredibly powerful. But if you target like an interest like golf, it's so generic that it's not going to work. Like, I got an ad for a golf course because of my interest in tennis. I don't care about tennis at all, but Facebook thought I was. Like, their interest targeting is not great. It probably just meant, like, I read an article one time, or maybe I clicked on an ESPN article about, like, Serena Williams winning while pregnant, like, and then they thought I was into tennis now. Like, I thought that was a cool story, but I don't care about tennis. So that is inaccurate. So you want to think, okay, what is accurate? And think of the other companies that are going to target them. So if I'm targeting, like, pet owners, I'm going to target PetSmart. Because if I target dogs, you might have just liked a funny dog video and actually never have a plan to own a dog, but you just thought the video was cute. But if you have an interest in PetSmart, then you probably have a dog. And if I'm going to target homeowners, I'm going to target things like Home Depot. Home Depot doesn't care about renters that much. Their whole thing is they want homeowners. So I'm going to let Home Depot spend millions of dollars building their audience of homeowners. Now I'm just going to target Home Depot. So people who like Home Depot are now most likely homeowners. I'm going to run an ad to them. So just think about who else is targeting your audience, but not from a real estate perspective. Like, maybe you want to target Leaf fans or something like that, or Raptor fans. Like, depending on what you're doing, just think about who's my audience, or even the other side of it, who's like your audience. Like, if I'm running investment properties, maybe I want to target Rich Dad Poor Dad or something like that, or Tony Robbins. I'm going to think about who influences, what person or business or company or whatever influences the people I want to influence, and just target them, because you're going to be looking at the same people online. When you're creating your ad, you want to make sure you keep it relatively simple, but I actually like to do long form ads now. Long form ads work unbelievably well. People always say you got to keep it short online, people have short attention spans. Most times just because people suck at online marketing. If you have good content, people watch. Like, I've seen marketers who have put an hour-long ad. Like, their video on their ad on Facebook was an hour, and they make millions off it. If you have good content, people will stay and watch the whole thing, or they'll read the whole thing. So like I mentioned, like, I tested these two against each other. The one on the left, find out what your home is worth, you know. If they sell in your home, find out what your home is worth. Very simple. This one, hi, so there I said, hi, Burlington. Are you planning on moving in 2017? The first step is finding out what your home is worth. Simply use the tool we've built, yada, yada, yada. And then I go to the next paragraph. This is not an automated valuation. I want people to know coming into it that this is not, you're not just going to put your address in, it's going to tell you what it's worth. I want you to know I'm going to take time out of my schedule. You're going to get less leads, but they're going to be better leads. And with that being said, you will get all those people, and I'm sure you've had it. They won't read that. They'll go through it all and be like, I expect it to be automatic. I'm like, I couldn't have made it more clear. But I mean, if anyone's ever advertised a listing, you'll put like, new listing for $700,000, and the first comment is, what's the price? So, I mean, people aren't going to read all the time, but you'll still, the people who do read and go through. And then one of the other things to notice, my first question is not, do you want to find out what your home is worth? It's, are you planning on moving in 2017? Because I want people who say yes to that to keep reading. I don't care if you want to know what your home is worth. Everyone wants to know what their home is worth right now because home prices are up so much. I don't care about the people who are just curious. I want the people actually thinking of moving. So my ads, either the first or second line, is a question I want my ideal audience to say yes to, and then keep reading. Question? Yeah.
I've posted ads about like writing and I've gotten rejected. What's the...
So that probably was you used the word you too much. Like that. And then there's a couple other reasons that could be there. If you call out people, there's a lot of different reasons, but probably don't have time right now. Go to the next one. So, okay, another important thing, be a little bit different. So this is an example of a just sold campaign, but we changed how we presented it. So we did it, they set a record price per square foot in the Berksey building. So we changed it from a just sold to a case study on how they sold it for a record price. So you look at the ad and it talks about what they did, and then you click on the blog post, and it's about a 1,000-word blog post detailing every step that agent took to get that home sold more. They're not doing anything really different than the average agent out there, but the public doesn't know that what they're doing is above and beyond. But we detailed so much because people don't know how much work you're actually putting into it. So we showed them. They got a $2 million listing out of that ad. They got a few people who are like in the comments talking about, we're blaming you for why the market's up so high because you're, screwing the little guy by setting these prices so high. And he left those comments up and responded to them and still got the guy with the $2 million because that's the one who actually matters. So doing it this way is just a little bit different than what everyone else. Everyone else is like, hey, I just sold this in 3 days for 120% over asking. Good, so did everyone else. Like, it's not different. This is a little bit different and more value to the person reading it. Emojis now, I use them all the time. So, and if you didn't know, poop emoji is the #1 emoji in Canada across everything. Apparently Canadians love poop. But I now throw these out in my ads like crazy. And it's just a little thing, they stand out more. Because like people are going through text, here's some color popping on the screen. It works really well. Like I basically now will not run an ad without emojis in it because it works so much better. Like even if it's just a little, I'm putting the house emoji on it or something like that. And one of my favorite ones, is Heather still here? Did she go? So it was a great one that we did. It was a house that basically like the garage blew up from like a meth lab. And everyone knew it. Like it was, you could Google it and you'd see the article. So the first line was calling all contractors. The second one was, have we got a 5 poop emojis house for you? It worked. It was a crappy house. She knew it. Everyone else knew it. First comment in the ad was the link to the article talking about it being a meth explosion. We were very upfront about what was going on. The second comment on that post was someone tagging their agent saying, hey, grab an offer together. Let's go see this tonight. It worked because we called out a specific audience and then used targeting, and we targeted contractors specifically. But like things like the poop emoji, like half the other comments were just people being like, haha, that's hilarious. Like people just really enjoyed it, but the more people commenting and tagging on it, the more people are now seeing it. So an ad like that can work really well. Now you also got to think like, does a poop emoji fit my brand? That's not for everybody. You can switch and put like hearts and do things like that. Like not all my clients are willing to put a poop emoji in their ads. Budgeting for Facebook, if you're running an ad and it's going to tell you on the right side how many people are there. And if your audience size is about 100,000, $10 a day per 100,000 people in your audience is a rough guideline. There's a lot of other considerations at the end of the day, but as a place to get started, $10 a day per 100,000. The lowest you can do is $5 a day, so 50,000 or below, $5 a day and you'll be fine. Test everything. Here's an example of a landing page. I had a red button, and I also tested the exact same page with the orange button. I had a 51% increase in the amount of people that opted in. That was the only change on the page. So you keep testing just little things like that to see if it's going to work. And then review everything. Like Facebook gives you a relevance score. They're going to tell you how effective something is. They're going to tell you your cost per result, whether that's cost per lead, cost per click, and you learn what these all mean, and now you can start figuring out where the leak is in your campaign. Like when I'm looking at the stats, it's not as simple as, okay, this campaign isn't working. If you know what the stats mean, you can know which part of your campaign isn't working, and then go and adjust that one. Because maybe your ad's doing really well, but your landing page sucks. But maybe your landing page is amazing, but your ad sucks. But sometimes the stats might be misleading to make you think. Like I've had an ad campaign that the cost per click was super low, and my conversion rate was awful. So I'm like, okay, I got to adjust my landing page. But then I was looking at the stats, I saw some other indicators. It was actually just the ad was kind of misleading compared to the landing page a bit. And so it was actually the ad that needed to be tweaked, even though the cost per click was good, and it was the conversion rate. So it's about understanding what everything means. And make sure, like, especially if you're delivering a guide, have an email that goes out right away. I never redirect them to something. So if they're going to opt in to get a guide, they never just get redirected to it. They have to give me the right email address or they never get it. I want to encourage basically them giving me the right info. Remind them what you're giving them. So as soon as it's like, hey, here's the guide you asked for. Tell them what's coming. So like, we're going to follow up. Make sure you got a copy of this. And then, a member of our team will reach out. Like if it's a home evaluation, like we might reach out to you with a few questions to give you a more accurate home evaluation. But tell them what the next steps are so they're expecting it. Build a little rapport with them. Tell them about your history, why you're doing this. And always include your contact info in any email that ever goes out. That's especially important for referrals. And that's why you want to have a good email signature, because what happens a lot of the time, like if Tony in the back said, hey, can you introduce me to Heidi? I might just go take my last email from Heidi and just forward it to Tony because it's going to have her contact information at the bottom. So you always want to have your contact info at the bottom of an email, just for that quick, send it off as a referral, it's nice. Or if they just need to get a hold of you, oh, just go into my inbox, pull up the last one, click on it and go. And always reach out. Like Heather was talking, I started including phone numbers in her ads, and she's mad because now she has to call people. You have to call. Like if you're not going to call, you're essentially wasting money. Like we had other things that helped a bit, but like the amount of money she was making from when she wasn't calling to when she called, like it's not even close. Like she's already beaten her last year's entire total because now she's picking up the phone. And then what's great when you have someone's right email address, you can learn a lot about them. Put my email address into Facebook, it'll pull up my profile. Every time you get a lead, especially like one time I got a lead called Minnie Mouse. 5 minutes later, I knew her name was Sarah. She was a nurse. She studied at Laurentian, and she was on her way to work. I think it was in, I can't remember the hospital now. And she drove like I think it was a Honda Civic. But I knew all this stuff better because as soon as I got, even though it said Minnie Mouse, I got her right email address. I put that into Facebook, pulled up her profile, found her Twitter profile as well, and then learned everything about her and ended up, she actually closed, that was the only time I closed a fake name, but that was awesome. But you can put that in. Put it into Google and you can see what else is out there about them. But there's so much info about people out there if you have their email address. The other great thing, you can upload it to Facebook. You can retarget them. They opted in, upload their email, and maybe now, like as an example, anyone who opted into a campaign for one client, we retargeted them with customer testimonials. So now they've opted in, they've learned a bit about me, they're getting my emails. Well, now they're also hearing on Facebook how great I am from my past clients. So you can have those extra things to help you out. And then now take those and build a lookalike audience. Say, okay, everyone who opted in, I'm now gonna run an ad to people who are like them. And that's gonna help you run more. Automation is great. I'm not going to spend too much time on this right now, but automation is great. It helps cut down on a lot of what you do once it's up and running. It saves you a ton of time. Like what used to might take you, 2 hours manually, if you know how to set it up the right way, you can get down to 5 minutes. Like follow-up emails, those are automatic. And then the phone call, I'm going to do manual. Have a welcome series. These can be a great way. So if someone like opts in on your website, don't just send them one email saying, thanks for registering to look at this property. Tomorrow now, send them a little bit more information about, here's how, have you been pre-approved, here's how you do it, here's why it's important. And then you just keep for 5 days, or 3 to 5 days, send them an individual email with a point that helps them at the end of that email say, and tomorrow I'm gonna show you the one mistake that could save you $20,000 when you're buying a home. And then you go into the next one and you show them a little bit more information. And then at the last email, that's when you ask for an appointment. And it can help a lot, and you can automate that entire process. So yeah, emails, Facebook custom audience, I really highly recommend doing that. Just upload your database to Facebook, and then at least then, like if you think your email newsletter, 20% open rate maybe, you do a Facebook ad to that email list, you'll get another 60% of them seeing your content. So if you have any questions, you can reach out. Do we have a lot of time left? Did I go over? Sweet. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out. I want to thank everyone for coming. We got one more thing quickly left to do. But before we do that, I just want to again say thanks to Agent Locator. They've been great. They helped out a lot. So if you guys are looking for like a website, lead gen stuff, definitely go talk to them. Thanks to Danny as well, who's donating a lot of time. And he's agreed to come race in the race tomorrow as well. So Danny's sticking around. And then again, Nick Sarah, who's not here. And we got Smriti from Rank My Agent in the back. She donated a bunch of tickets for a bunch of clients, and she's great. So if you're looking for how to improve your reputation online, look up Rank My Agent. She's great as well. But now we want to do, we got a check that we did, and so we can show you how much we actually raised today. So we'll grab that and we'll show you. The MC left, so I'm just doing it all. And I always wanted a big check. All right. So 100% of the ticket sales went, and then there was also the raffle at the beginning. So adding it all up today, we've raised $6,077.83. So that's amazing. So I want to say a big thank you. And I think I'm going to be the top fundraiser at the race tomorrow. I think the top team's at about 3,000 right now. That's true. But anyways, big thank you to everyone. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be around for a little bit, like if you have questions or anything like that, or feedback. I want to make this an annual event. So every year that I do the race, I'm probably going to try and do this the day before. So please give me feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like, what could be improved besides the heating. So just let me know. I really appreciate any feedback, good, bad, and otherwise. I want to hear the good, though. The good especially, but yeah, I definitely need to hear the bad. Lunch was great, I know that, but good, everything? Happy? All right, thanks again, and don't forget to check out Agent Locator. Thanks, guys.